Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reality Talk with Sonja and Gary. I'm Gary from Alternative Interactions, and you are?
Sonja from the Tree of Knowledge. And I also want to add in, I have a Patreon and I will be accepting bookings this month. So find me if you'd like to speak to me. It'll be in the description.
Yeah, yeah. So Sonja is now starting a one-to-one booking system where you have the ability. I mean, I'm a lucky boy because I get to speak to Sonja anyway, on doing these shows, but you actually have the ability to book Sonja for an hour, and it is an hour, isn't it, Sonja?
Just an hour.
Yeah, yeah, or half hour, whatever it is, and get Sonia one on one, and she will look into anything you want to and talk about anything you want to. And oh my God, is that an experience and is that an opportunity? So there we go. Okay. So with the corporate bit out of the way, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Um, Before we started the show, obviously Sonia and I were gabbing. Only about an hour and 20 minutes gabbing as well. So we weren't talking for very long. Um, Sonia did a show very recently that she put out on YouTube, regarding the chimeras, the worms that they put inside the eyes. It's known
Well,
it's known as the Black Eye Club, and there
mhm.
are images around if you want to do a bit of a Google search. Not that it'd be Google anymore, but um, there are lots of images of the Black Eye Club, and I might even put a couple of images up of famous people with black eyes um, on my Telegram channel, just so you can see what we're talking about. The video is really, really interesting, and I actually watched it, obviously. Now, after watching it, thinking about it, okay, I knew Sonia was right. Okay, so I'm not saying Sonia's wrong in any way, shape, or form. I knew Sonia was bang on the money, but I felt there was something missing from the story. And I just really had a strong feeling about this. So before the show, I asked Sonia to look into a couple other things about it. And it led Sonia to see some other things. So, Sonia, would you like to tell the audience about the conversation we had and what you saw extra from that so that we can build up from the first initial seeing of what you did?
Yes, absolutely. So I was talking to Gary, and Gary was talking about what was that called? The MR, the
Free
the
Eye
thing,
Atlas.
Three Eye Atlas. I'm so bad with names. And I started looking into that. And the next thing is he asked me what happened with the people that got the vril in the eye. The vrils, let me tell everybody what a vril is. A vril is a reptilian in its smallest form, in its original state. What happens is it goes into the eye, it burrows into the eye, it goes onto the nerve in the back of the eye, it becomes one with the nerve. It's still there. It has gangly things that come down like strings, and it goes down through the whole spinal cord and then up through the brain. And what it does is when it goes into the brain, it gets a hold of your frontal cortex, it severs the frontal cortex from the brain, it destroys that, and it inserts its own self there. And this is where your love and empathy and all of this lies. And your God source connection is in your frontal lobe, which is also connected to your pineal gland, and it hijacks it. So when it disconnects you, your energy being is out of the body, it's shoved out of the body, it's still there, it's connected, but your avatar is no longer in your own access. Think of it as a vehicle, and somebody just hijacked your car, threw you into the back seat, and now they're driving the car. Okay, this is what happens. There'll come a point where, after a while, and I don't know exactly what the duration is, you start fading out because you have no connection to the avatar. And then the avatar is completely owned by the vril, and you are gone, completely gone. You'll slowly fade out because you won't have the frequency to hold the seat anymore, running the avatar. So I saw this happening. I also realized that I don't see everything all at once, and there's always reasons behind it. When I saw this and made the video, all those people were going to end up having to go to Virginia, um, in that place, all the admirals and the high star generals, and they weren't going to get out of it. But this is what I didn't see. I didn't see prior to that with the third eye atlas and the beings that are us on the third eye atlas coming in and giving an mRNA change. And I had always believed that all mRNA was to the negative because it's been used to the negative, that this one was to the positive. And just like with anything in duality, yin and yang, there's a positive and a negative. And the mRNA change was that an instruction was inserted that if any of this reptilian enzymes, DNA, or what have you is detected when it goes into your ocular nerve to try to insert itself, like with the hook and then, venom it out, your body would automatically produce enzymes that would reverse back into the reptilian and dissolve it, destroy it. So basically, it's done on an enzyme which carries a frequency, and the frequency is death. If you have no other word for it, it's like a reverse death shot. So all of these people who got caught in that net that couldn't get out of it, even if they had this done to them, it was a death sentence to the vril. And that we're having this conversation now is because it's over. They're out of there. The vril didn't take. The vril is now dead. It takes less than 24 hours for the vril to be completely annihilated. Less than 24 hours. An average estimation of a vril dying is about 2 to 6 hours. 24 is if your immune system is somewhat, if you were extremely sick and you were full of cancers, which are parasites, then it would take up to 24 hours. But the healthier you are, the faster this enzyme works on them. And I thought that was very fascinating that the reptilians are now having to deal with counteractions because they've been dealing with the mRNA. So we think about our current president and our former president, Biden and Trump, who are both pushing different agendas, but identical agendas, mRNA shots. And that's to change you on a genetic level where your own body will have new sets of instructions and turning you into a synthetic, what have you. And I will also add that everyone thinks that when I came out with that video, my last video, that I'm a Trump hater and I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not any supporter of anything that's going to take humanity away from humanity. And I don't care if you call it right or left, red or blue, it does not matter. The entire federal government was the takedown of people. And if you know anything about history, you'll know that we lost our rights as sovereign beings when the federal government came in and you can no longer own land. Yeah, you think you own land. Don't pay taxes one time and see how much you own that land and own that house. And that you work very hard and you earn your coin and you earn your whatever. You build a house or you buy a house and you paid for this. And that anyone at any given time says, you owe me for your profit, for your working, for your this, or for you work all day and the mafia comes in and says, you owe me. When did that become a thing? You work so you can live and they will have their hand out here. You owe me. You owe me. You work. You owe me. You worked. Oh, you bought a house. You owe me. You owe me for that house. I'm going to come out and tell you how much you're going to owe me for that house. How much you're going to tell you you're going to owe me for that horse or that car or this or that or this or that. You've done all of this energy work to get those things. And they're like this, you owe me, you owe me. And that's only because our government, the federal government, was so illegal and so corrupt. It took you in maritime law, and every one of us is considered lost cargo, and that they own us lost cargo at sea. And that has to do with being birthed and what have you. As soon as you leave the canal, you're considered lost cargo. So don't get those birth certificates. That's just another whole thing. But going back to, I've already gone off, going back to the entire thing about the vril bringing in the military from all over the place. And here was the cover story. It was so stupid. The cover story is a day later, 24 hours later, that they just needed to let everyone know we're not doing the woke agenda and we need to fire some of the head that we can't control. Are you kidding me? You just called everyone in for a woke agenda. You just jeopardize everything. No, that's the cover story. It was about the vrils.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. I obviously my audience know that I've done a few things on Free Eye Atlas, and I've looked into it quite deeply, and I've obviously been speaking about bits and pieces, and definitely I this is the way I see Free Eye Atlas. I think Free Eye Atlas has been there for a while, a very long while, in fact. And when the playbook that they'd already written about an alien invasion and Project Bluebeam's already. And so again, when Sonja's seeing this, or we're seeing this, or it's been spoken about, yeah, absolutely correct. That's exactly what they were going to do and what they have been planning to do. What they hadn't planned on was the fact there really is a ship there, and not just one, hundreds, if not thousands, of craft. I mean, huge, huge armada, huge armada. And it's sat out there. And so when they said, "Oh, we can see something in space," all of a sudden there really was something in space, and I think they went, "Oh my God!" And what that's done is it's forced the hand to have to quicken up its plans yet again. And so what we're seeing is the panic of the deep state trying to affect changes where they've got no chance fundamentally, but they don't realize that their arrogance and the way they've always been. I mean, I think if you can imagine, for thousands of years, you've had free reign on this realm, you've been able to do what you want, and you've been able to follow the same playbook or the same kind of story, history set over history set over history set over history set. You know, history repeats itself, but with slight differences. Well, that's because the history is actually a repeatable thing that's been played out by the controllers to control us fundamentally. And they were playing a playbook, and the playbook was the sci-fi playbook this time, and it bit them in the ass, and it's biting them in the ass. So obviously Sonja can only view the question or the one
Mhm.
thing that she sees, and that will be correct. But often there's other things that come off this, and so unless Sonja's asking herself, and like for me, right, my my thought process can sometimes be quite a narrow thought process. And the Wizard of Oz, who sits in the shadows, will often say to me, "Oh, have you thought about that?" And I go, "No, I hadn't." Oh my God, that changes everything. And so it's good to talk to each other and get these things out, and get different perspectives and get different views on to see. Now it's very clear now, because I had this knowing that something was wrong, that the information was right that Sonia had said. That's exactly what they were planning to do, but there was something didn't sit right. And I said, the Three Eye Atlas, if this is a real craft and it's really us, you really think they're going to let that happen? And she goes, Sonny goes, I have to look, I have to look. And yeah, and so we have already, and I say we because we are our higher selves on those craft. It's us. It's us coming back to support us and make sure that we don't fail this time. We have already seen what's going on. We have already put the countermeasures into that. And so, yeah, they're going to keep and continuing to do the things they're doing. But as they fail, they are going to become more and more desperate, and they're going to show their hands.
Mhm. Talking about showing their hand, I want to mention this. I'm going to be doing a Patreon, and it's going to be about the Gorgons, and it's going to be about the connection to other things in this reality. Well, one of the other things is the Naga. The Naga and the Gorgons are so related, it's not even funny. But I put on the Naga, and that sad guru, that's his name, sad guru, came on, and there was a video, and I'm like, oh, this guy's such a fraud, but I'm going to watch it anyway. What is that saying? Keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. So I put it on, and he came out with this video. I'll have to pop you this video over.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he blank says, I don't care about my popularity. I don't care what you think about me. I am not going to contain this anymore. And he has come out and he starts talking about the Naga being the reptilians, which we already knew that. Well, maybe most people didn't know that. And that he's 100% behind them. And he even talks about them shape shifting into humans. And that's good for us. And then he shows a thing where we're monkeys and he changed us from monkeys. That is a whole lie scenario. They did change us, but we were never monkeys, which put in our reptilian part of our brain, which is on the bottom, and also the adrenals on our kidneys to give us fight and flight. That all reptiles have those adrenals. And then on top of that, an entire chakra lockdown system so that this stuff will function. But that he has now shown his hand, where he stands and who he's standing behind. And it isn't humanity. It's the Nagas, it's the reptilians. Just know that Sadhguru is 100% the reptilians, which is why he was promoting that thing in the beginning for the depopulation of humanity. You still following him?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I watched him, and I don't think I even got more than 15, 20 minutes into one of his shows. And this is probably 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I can't remember. He's been going a long while, hasn't he? I mean, like,
Yeah.
and I just like, "Ugh, this guy has got nothing to tell me that I want to listen to." And it's very interesting that they're now showing their colours because we're getting to the end times, and I don't mean the end times of us or but we've got the split. You know, um, I know on my channel I talk about the Fibonacci and the crystalline code, and I know Sonja's been talking about this on her channel for years as well. I picked that up. Mel sent me, the Wizard of Oz sent me a video probably 3.5 years ago now, and this was time wave spirals. The video was called, and this guy explained everything, but it was so complex and deep. I just really couldn't get. I knew what he was saying, but I couldn't put it together with what was happening around us. So
Mm-hmm.
in context, the video was great, and I knew it was important, but I didn't know why.
Mm.
And it took me several years to really understand the why, and then to really get my head around it to a level where I could easily explain and express why, because that's the important thing. Oh yeah, I know this is bad, and someone says, well, why? Oh, because I know it is. You've got to be able to demonstrate sometimes, you've got to be able to. And what we're talking about, the Naga and such like, is we're talking Fibonacci sequence here. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about a third party parasite that came in to this realm to feed off our illusion and control humanity to lock us down.
Mm-hmm.
So when Sonya's talking about property taxes and all the taxes we have and all the control mechanisms, um, again, I mean, we might come on to briefly digital ID in a little while because it's all linked. It's all part of the control mechanism.
Yeah, you don't need any more ID. You have more ID than we do in the USA. My God, do you know in the USA there are some people who don't have a driver's license? They don't have a passport. But Europeans and the UK, they have all of that. They have
Yeah,
all of that.
yeah,
That is a lie to sell you that if I can get you wrapped up into the digital world, I can control your assets. I'll control how much you're going to eat. I'll control what you're going to drink. I'll control where you're going to go. I'm going to control the petrol or gas that you're going to consume. I'm going to control what you buy. I'm going to control what you think.
yeah, yeah,
That's what it's about.
yeah. It is, but also this links into what we started to say in the beginning. This is the quickening. This is the end times. It's the end times for them because they realize that they've run out of time. The time wave split, I believe, happened last week. I felt terrible for the entire week. If you ask me what happened last week, there's days that have lost, complete days where I was somewhere else. I know physically the body was here, but I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. I was off
Mm-hmm.
with the fairies, an English expression, off with the fairies. But I really wasn't here, and I'm now present. So this weekend I came back and I'm now present and I feel energized and on it again. But
Mm-hmm.
talking to Richard, we did a show, and he said we had to split. That was the split, and it makes sense as well with the astrology of the 23rd, 21st, 22nd, 23rd of September. It's all kind of links in. Now, with that split happening, they are really panicking now because they know their days are numbered and they're on the countdown clock. For them, fundamentally, the doomsday clock is counting back, and there's nothing they can do about it. You know, we're supported by ourselves in multi-dimensional craft from multi-dimensional realms that have ascended, which are now coming back into us to support us to make sure that we get all the goodies we need
Mhm.
to defeat this energy. And it's not to remove it because, as Sonia was saying about the yin and the yang, and this is something that I went through in the personal a few years ago. I was like, God, we're going to destroy, we're going to destroy all the darkness. And I got a no, we're not on the pendulum. I was like, what? Oh my God. So they're going to carry on. And it was like, no, they're not going to carry on. And I was like, what's going on? And then I understood. It took me a few days because it does sometimes takes me a few days.
Yeah.
Um, and then asked again, and it was like, so the darkness can never be destroyed because there has to be an offset, a yin and a yang in the balance. Okay. Now the pendulum has gone far too far towards them and it's now coming back, but it's only coming back because of certain things that were done in the past, our perception of the past, to create these things. So, like, if we looked at the Great Pyramid of Giza, for instance, I firmly believe that that was a machine. It was
Mhm.
built as a machine to upload information into this holography because this holography is in a lockdown. We're in the snow globe, aren't we, Sonia? I
Yeah,
mean,
we are.
you
Yeah,
say
it's a globe.
so. The only way to change something that's got a firewall around it fundamentally is to do it from inside. And so they built a pyramid, and that pyramid ran for 3 or 4 seconds, perhaps. A massive amount of energy and power went into the realm. But what was inside the pyramid was the one thing that they have used against us, and that was the Fibonacci sequence.
Mhm.
And the Fibonacci sequence is now coming to the end of its particular system from the upload of the pyramid, which is why we're here now with what we're talking about, a split from the crystalline code to the Fibonacci. So that's how I see it, and we are being supported by ourselves with intelligence that is beyond our comprehension and outstrips all of the reptilians' abilities that they've developed over thousands of years. So what are your thoughts on that, Sonia? And is there any scenes that you have for this?
Well, I've talked about many times that when you go and look above and you look down at any place in this entire snow globe, you'll see it looks like computer boards. The lines are already there. All we do is rebuild over them. The machines were there. The pyramids work like you see the top part, but what you don't see is the bottom part that's on another frequency. And it runs like a toroidal field. If you do it this way, you'd be running like this. But since it's this way, it's running like this. And underneath of that, you're going to have, and I've always seen that there's water under there. So they have just recently let out the information that there's all these long pillars going into water, and that is a machine. So I did a whole thing years ago on the pyramids with a two-parter where I saw it as a machine that was running. It was energizing the water, which is the waters down there, connected to every aqueduct. All of our old bridges, I mean, the ones that are really old that look like this, were nothing but aqueducts that have been repurposed into rails, into roads, into walking paths. This entire place was done with aqueducts because the water is the energy, the water is the life. So the pyramids would energize the underneath, the pyramids would energize coming out of it etherically the entire air, the atmosphere, there would you just hold a light bulb and it would just, you didn't need to connect it to anything, it would just light up. This is the Tesla technology that he got from the pyramids that he put together, because at one point he was able to go and find information on it, which they have scrubbed the realm of all this information. But in his day and age, they still had information out about that. So it was energizing the water, energizing the ether, and then it was a soil generator, which means that the sarcophagus, which was never a sarcophagus, but where the viscous material, it looked like teal and metal. It looked metally like mercury and teal together. This stuff is so powerful that what it did was it put out energy where it could break down any kind of vegetation, animal, people, it didn't matter. It was like a radiation. This is where the Ark of the Covenant comes in, where they had filled all of the sarcophagus material into the Ark, and it was all lined with gold on the outside and different linings on the inside. Because this material is so degraded, it tears down biology, all of it. That the Ark of the Covenant, when they took it off, it was like the Pandora's box. It would destroy everything because of the material. These stories are all interconnected. They have carefully detached the stories from each other, so you don't realize that this has all got to do with old earthen technologies.
Yeah.
So when I see these pyramids and I go on top and I look how everything was interconnected, and then the star forts, they've even lied about our history, his story on who makes history. The victor always makes the history. That the star forts were interconnected with the pyramids. The pyramids were the generators. The star forts were with the obelisks. You know, the obelisks everywhere that we used to have in this realm were the telephone poles to pull the ether, the energy out of the ether, because there is a ley line on the bottom and on the top of this snow globe. They have literally ley lines the way it's designed. And when you place the obelisks with the generators, which are the pyramids, to the star forts, why did they have star forts? Because they were the recipients of. It's like if you were going to make a board, you need to get your energy over here to this place. You need to get your energy over this place. And why the civilization started off inside of star forts. They didn't live outside the star forts. They lived in the star forts because those were the star cities. Period.
The star forts were actually Eden of the Bible
Mm-hmm.
because they were an enclosed.
Yep, systems.
Yeah, and and that's how they powered the realm. And so the star forts were actually, if you could, if in modern terms, looking at it like that, if you've got a Wi-Fi box, which is your pyramid,
Mm-hmm.
you need boosters if you want to get Wi-Fi around wherever you're going.
Mm-hmm.
So today you could call them cell towers,
Mm-hmm.
or in your own home you'll have a Wi-Fi booster. And what these star forts are is fundamentally Wi-Fi boosters of pure, clean energy,
Yep.
not distorted energy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when that system collapsed and fell, because it did, there was a remembrance and an understanding of that information. And so they then built towers onto churches. And the churches and cathedrals, then became the modern version of the star forts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that technology was removed from us probably only a few hundred years ago at the most.
Yeah. This is why in every church you have a different somatic pattern, because they were the resonating healing centers. And depending on the somatic pattern is what part of the body or mind it would heal. And all done through water and frequency resonance through the big pipes, the organs and things. And they all had the Antiquitech on the top and spires coming down, which have all been removed. So the spires would go up, go straight down through the building, and underneath in different areas, I would see where they would have things of water. And so the water is the conduit, the changing of the frequency. You would be in the building, you'd be in the area, you would get the resonating from the music, and then you would go and drink the water to restructure the damage.
Yeah. Which is why it was inverted in religion to baptism, because
Yeah.
they couldn't get away from the psyche of water, so they had to change it to baptism. But as Sonja said, you would have drunk the energized prime water from the
Mm-hmm.
energy around. And
Yep.
and going back to church towers, they're very, very technical, high tech. Okay, what we see certainly in the United Kingdom is the early ones, and I think we're talking far older than they tell us. I mean, the earliest church, complete church that I've found with tower is around 560 AD. Okay, that's the official date, but it's probably much older. And what we see in the United Kingdom is flint used a lot, because
Mm.
flint is silica. And what we also do is have bricks. Now, these bricks are placed in key points of the building, and these bricks are not just bricks, they have a high iron content. And with the mixture of the silica and the iron, they create a form of capacitor which regulates the energy that that tower would have put out depending on the location via the ley line and the energy grid from above. And that would have created the energy, the free flowing energy that everybody would have been able to get and pick up from and use. So when you look at a church tower, you'll often have lines, or there'll be odd bricks placed in certain positions, and you think it's all higgledy piggledy because you don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually designed that way to create the most perfect environment you could imagine
Mm-hmm.
for human development.
Mm. And I will also add, they had a concrete mixture that would actually over time become stronger. And that was volcanic ash, lime, and seawater. And I saw this whole PDF on finding the recipe, why these buildings last for centuries. And as time goes by, they keep getting stronger. So the volcanic ash has all these minerals in it. The lime is the stabilizer, and the seawater is comprised of every salt known to man, which are crystals.
Yeah,
And so if it rains and rains and rains, and any of it was to get soft, it would reform into the volcanic ash and become more dense. And it's like, this is why our concrete today is shit versus stuff that's been standing for eons of time. And it's just three things: volcanic ash, lime, and seawater. Why aren't we using that today?
yeah, yeah. Because when you look at Roman concrete, and we're talking Roman time concrete, they have concrete underwater that is in pristine condition, exactly the same as it was the day it was
That's
done.
right.
And there's actually Roman concrete that's self-healing, as in if it gets cracked, the cracks will rejoin and become solid again. And we
Oh,
don't have that technology
mhm.
today. And you get all these scientific idiots going, oh, I don't know how they did it, and everything else like that. Well, of course, they don't want us to know how they did it, because they don't. This is a realm of decay and waste and usage. And so if a building will
Mhm.
only last 100 years, or, I mean, there's modern buildings that are built in the United Kingdom, hospitals that were built in the 1960s, and the materials are so bad these hospitals are now falling to bits, and they're going to have to build new hospitals. And
Mhm.
so you could have built it once and it lasts 2,000 years, or you can build it with modern materials and it'll last 60 years
Mhm.
and then has to be rebuilt. Of course, if it has to be rebuilt, we go back to the money side of life. Someone's making a buck.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's always about that. It's always about that. When I look into this reality before these takedowns, in the very beginning, when we had our first reset because of what had happened. I saw this is when the reptilians crawled up from under the ground and took advantage of. I mean, it's as simple as that. Where did the Naga come from? Under the ground. Under the ground. So then when you think about, okay, well, the sad guru is now sitting there saying, oh, yeah, they're shapeshifters. And yeah, that's good. And they taught us how to do everything and they created us. And they taught us about the chakra system, the chains, the chakra system, and that they created us, recreated us from what we were and got us when we had our first reset. That's when they came in and overtook us. Completely overtook us. And we have been at that point in the indoctrination system ever since.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're running the show. And that's changing. That's changing.
It is very, very quickly, in fact. Um, I was talking to Isabella the other day, and she brought up something that's just sprung into my mind. Okay, and I think this is probably a relevant point to bring this up. Can you remember probably 2 years ago now, a year ago, when it was all over the internet about a new disease where people would see people's faces change to reptilians?
Yes, I do.
Now I'm getting flesh of the goose. I'm getting goosebumps on this one, flesh of the goose. Now, I do wonder if one of the next things that we're gonna see, and I mean see, is are our cells
Hmm.
that are, we'll call it the three eye atlas. Okay, so it's simple. I know it's not just the three eye atlas, but if we just use is the three eye atlas, we all know where we're standing with the conversation language. Is the three eye atlas about to change the frequencies so it becomes virtually impossible for the shapeshifters to maintain their shape? And is this why the guru guy who, or what, sad, the sad
Guru.
dude, and he is sad as well, is
Hmm.
this why our sad friend is now saying this because he's preempting what is actually coming? What are your thoughts? Can you see into that? Is this a thing, Sonia?
Yeah, as soon as I saw this video of his, the first thing I thought is, oh, you're getting the populace ready to accept the reptilian onslaught that has always been here, the one that David Icke has been talking about for decades and has been blasted. You're insane. And now he's coming out saying, oh, yeah, well, it's not a big deal. Of course, it's supposed to be this way, you stupid, nasty, stupid little human. It's supposed to be this way. He is lock, stock, bot, and whatever. Then you have to look into the sad guru. Is he even human? Is the sad guru even human? So I have not looked into it yet, but how about I do that right now and see why he's so okay? He's been vrilled. He got vrilled at a very young age and then he got groomed and put into his position. He was groomed because he was vrilled. He is reptilian. He is now.
Yeah, yeah.
There it is.
So this is another clarification on language, everyone. Humans, once they get the vril, although they're human still, because they have a parasite inside them, it changes their thought and process to reptilian. So they're not reptilian by birth, but they get taken over. So if any of you watched Stargate, the series or the film, the controllers and the rulers of the realm had something called a again, it began with G. It was like it was a parasite.
Yeah.
And it was I forget what it's it
Oh,
began with G.
Guold. Is it
Gold.
called
That's it.
Guold? Guold.
Gold. That's the
Guold.
one. Well done, Sonia. But bonus point for Sonia. And
I told you,
and
what are they called? Guold. Guold.
gold, yeah. And this was a parasite that was placed into people, and the gold would take over the host,
Mhm.
just as Sonia expressed with the thing. Now, there's also another TV program called The Strain, and this is a series. And in The Strain, they have these wormy type things, which is exactly what Sonja's talking about, and they go into the person and they take over the person's consciousness. Okay, so we have. I know how can I put this? Sometimes what we're talking about sounds a bit far fetched, but you've been sat there, being pre-programmed by your tell lies and vision for many years, and they're showing you exactly what really goes on.
Hmm.
They
But it's
really are.
science fiction. It's not real, right? Because it's on the boob tube, right? It's not real. I mean, I got really upset with some of the people on my last video telling me that I thought you were all love and light and this is not like you and you're just spreading fear and that's not my reality. And it's like I'm screaming, the house is on fire. Get off your damn couch. The house is on fire. Are you going to sit there? The house is on fire. What are you going to do? You're going to die of smoke inhalation or are you going to wait for the flames to come and lick you?
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing. Look, I am love and light, but I'm also brimstone and fire because I am duality also. And this whole thing was a psyop to love your enemies. Psyop. Well, if I keep doing and destroying you, I still have to love you, even though you've murdered everybody and everything in my reality, and even murdered the land itself and the trees and the vegetation, but I still have to love you. That's a psyop. And sitting on a lotus petal, which is so funny, on the Sadhguru video, you see a person sitting in that position on a spinning lotus petal. Kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. I'm not for that either. If you don't do something, who will?
Yeah.
If you don't do something, who will? Stop thinking you're so small. And this is for everyone out there. I'm so small. I'm only one person. It only ever takes one person. It takes you and you and you and you and you and you and you to make a difference. They have gotten you to believe that nothing is real. Sit down on the lotus petal, which is your couch. Do nothing. The house is on fire. And see no evil, hear no evil, say no evil. Here we go. The monkeys.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're offending me. I might actually have to do something. I might actually have to do something. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm a coward. I am a coward. That's what it comes down to.
It's about, I mean, like when we talk about, was it religion? They put in turn the other cheek.
Yeah.
Well, the time is not to, the time is
No.
not to.
How many times can you get cocked across the face and you got to keep turning the cheek one until you're a bloody, pulverized, nothing left of you?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
psyop.
And
I
that's the,
don't believe in going out and killing everyone, but I do believe if you don't do something, who will? You're expecting someone to do it. And if everyone expects everyone else to do it, you're a victim.
yeah. I mean, non-compliance is the way forward. And, you know, I've spoken about this previously in other shows, money is their king. We've gone from physical shackles to mental
Mhm.
shackles, and they've done that very, very cleverly, and it's not the first time they've done that. If you go back through history, you can see how they've managed to do it, and it's just the same old playbook. But what they've managed to do is they've put us into something called debt slavery
Mhm.
via our birth certificate, via our straw man, all the stuff that they've done.
Mhm.
Now, when you're in debt slavery, we perceive money as being what we have to work for. Everyone has to get up and do everything. And as Sonia
Mhm.
quite rightly said earlier, that when you don't pay your bills or when you don't pay something for the government, they come in and take it off you. You know,
Mhm.
if you've got if you've got a house and you believe you actually own it, well, try not paying some bills for a little while and see how long it is before the courts, who
Mhm.
are working with the banks
Mhm.
for the banks, how long it is before they take that house off you, how long it is before they fine you so much money for not doing something
Mhm.
that you end up with nothing and you end up on the streets. Just see how
Mhm.
long it'll take you, right? Now, that isn't a benevolent, that isn't a supportive system. That's a parasitic system, and that's a system of control, and
Hmm.
that's a system of slavery fundamentally,
Hmm.
debt slavery. Now, they use the money and the system to beat us with. Well, the one key point that links all of this together is the banks.
Hmm.
And so, if 1% of the population took all their money out of the banks tomorrow, the banking system would collapse and so would their power base.
Yes, it would.
Just 1%. And if it was more than 1%, you could completely destroy all the central banks and create freedom, true freedom for everybody. And that's that simple.
Hmm.
And it doesn't take many people, you know. I mean, I've got no money anyway, so it makes no difference. I've got nothing in the bank anyway, but that's not the point. But I'm not saying take the money out and just have it in their money, their cash, their fiat. You know, you got
Hmm.
euros, dollars,
Yeah,
pounds, whatever it is. You know, the money is actually not related or tied to anything. It's just a promissory note, and it's a promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of absolutely nothing.
there it is. Yep.
But the real money in this realm, the one thing that really is money, if we want to go down that route, is gold and silver.
Hmm. And
So if
platinum.
you platinum, gold, silver, copper, even.
Hmm.
So if you palladium, if you wanted to really, really take the system down, but ensure that you were in a really, really strong position when that system collapsed, you would take all your savings out and you would buy gold and silver. This isn't financial advice either. This is
No.
just this is just a solution, okay? And you would cripple them overnight. Because if you didn't pay something and they come to fine you, well, how can they fine you when you got nothing in your bank account?
There you go. Here's the next thing. And if you're going to be doing gold, silver, platinum, or copper, you need the tangible asset, not a piece of promissory note. Not, I know you did a thing not that long ago where you were talking about where they were doing audits on banks and they would bring this cold, hard, tangible assets into these banks from these depositories so that they could pass the audit. And there is only X amount of stuff in this reality. And the more we get of that, why do you think they're calling in that everybody give me your gold jewelry and I'll give you some paper money for it? Because the real asset is in the gold. I think China owns most of it and it's being made into jewelry.
Yes. Yeah. 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 In fact, China has literally, the yuan has gone 1 to 1 with gold now. So the yuan is fundamentally gold backed for international trade.
Yeah.
And they're building bullion banks around the world so that their gold will be sat in foreign countries in a bullion
Hmm.
bank where, say, Saudi Arabia, where one of the banks is now being built, if China buys a load of oil from Saudi Arabia in yuan, not dollars anymore, yuan, Saudi Arabia can go, oh, I've got a load because it's digitally done, isn't it? There'll be a bank transfer because you've got to remember what's in the bank is actually digital money. It's not real money, it's digital, you know?
Hmm.
So China pays Saudi Arabia for the oil that they've just purchased off them. And Saudi Arabia's got a load of yuan, which isn't really a lot of use to anybody unless you sat in China.
Hmm.
So they trot down to the local bank, the bullion bank that's been built by China, and they go, here's 1 billion yuan. I want gold. And they will be given 1 billion yuan's worth of gold. Now, I
Mhm.
know it'll be set by the dollar price, and the exchange rate would be of the dollar to that. But fundamentally, the dollar's not been used for anything, and
Mhm.
it's gold backed.
Mhm.
That also stops the inflation or the hyperinflation of the Chinese yuan, and it also makes the BRICS nations super, super powerful. And what are we doing in the G7? We're destroying manufacturing. We're making sure that men can put lipstick on and go into a woman's lavatory. And we're going the green agenda and destroying absolutely everything. We're taxing ourselves to stupidity. Now, the reason why we're taxing ourselves to stupidity is because the reptiles that run the places, Khazarian mafias, or the banksters,
Mhm.
they're greedy and money's their god. And we
Yep.
go
Money is
back round to the loop again. If you don't have any money in the banks can't do anything to you. There's no backing by the government, that they are toothless. And if somebody came round like a bailiff to take something from you, and there's a group of people that stops the bailiff, what can they do?
nothing.
There's only so many
Well,
police
the
in this
result.
realm.
I will tell you something really interesting. One of the things Trump said in that meeting of all the generals and the admirals was that certain parts of America have gotten out of hand, like Chicago, and that he wants to start using all of these troops, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, and National Guard, as a testing ground to get these places whipped up into action. He's literally calling for an inside civil war that he wants to create to crush the common man. And he said it right out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And
So
it's like, are you telling me you're going to turn the armed forces on the common man? That's exactly what he said.
see, Sonya's gone to the end of the road on this one already. So let's go back a bit. Yes, Chicago has been deliberately, if we take an example, could be Philadelphia, could be anywhere, okay?
Anywhere.
But let's call it City C. Doesn't matter where it is in the world, okay? So City C has become lawless on purpose
Mm-hmm.
because there is police, there is law and order, and there are people that were voted in that should be running the place for the benefit of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that in America, you go, I see images of LA, and it's a shanty town. People are sleeping on the streets in tents. There's drug issues everywhere. That's that's not that's not by coincidence. It's by action. It's a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, it's as David Icke would say, it's problem, reaction, solution.
Mm-hmm.
They've created a problem in these cities. Trump does need to do something about it because it's out of hand and a lot of people are dying. That's quite right. So the reaction is to put troops in to clean the cities up and to sort it out, right? That's absolutely fine. Which then creates a solution, and that's the solution. But when you understand that even if Trump is the best person in the world, he's only got 2 or 3 more years as a president before somebody else takes over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Trump is amazing. He's the best president you've ever had. When Trump steps out of that White House, Trump has set up a precedent of troops can go somewhere and they can do whatever. The next president that comes in can use that as a nefarious control mechanism to do what the hell they want because the troops have already done it. They've
Mm-hmm.
already shot their own citizens, or they've already controlled or put into prison many of the citizens. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, okay? At the stage, America needs cleaning up for certain, and there's certain things that need to be done. But the problem is the template has been set within the psyche of the population and of the troops. And as we know, It never stops at the boundary in which we, as genuine people and citizens, would want. It's taken to the next level because we're not in control. We will be soon, obviously, and I believe certainly we really will be. But
Hmm.
when you have a parasitic, demonic entity who has no regard for life or anything else, that's just wanting to asset strip and take everything it can from everything, you know,
Hmm.
what's it going to do? What's the outcome? Now, Sonya's gone straight to the outcome. She's totally correct. But that will often trigger people because
Hmm.
the outcome is like, oh my God, that's not gonna, that can't happen. But when you take the step back, as I always say, observe, do not absorb the energy. You know, observe what Sonya's saying. Sometimes Sonya, no offense, will give the ultimate end game because Sonya's remote viewing and she's seeing the end game, the possibility of the end game, you know. And when you're seeing the end game, you're going to express it. Take the step back, look at the steps, look at what's going on, look at why, the how, what could happen from that. Yeah.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if somebody is good or bad. The fact is, the policy can be usurped to change something in the future to benefit something that is not good. And it's a very
Absolutely.
slippery slope.
And it was already tried out in California when they started going in with their ISIS, and they started shooting people with their zapping guns and with their bullets and arresting citizens. I mean, and then who knows what happened to those people, whether they were ever seen again, deported, or what have you. They already used their ICE, as in place of military. And since that went so well, and then they went in, and then you have to wonder what happened to all the homeless people. They're just gone. They gathered them up in vans and ended up in, the different places they ended up. And since that went so well, now we'll just get all of our branches together, and this will be commonplace activities that the military will be used as domestic terrorist fighters. And who is the domestic terrorist? You, me, and every other person that's not a reptile.
Yeah, yeah. Um, when we take a step back and look at who actually history, I like a bit of history. I don't like the official history. I like the history of what I've learned from what I consider to be the closest historical stuff. But some of the official history that we're not taught is also really, really good. It's really interesting and it shows you their plans and how they do stuff, you know. So, like,
Mhm.
for instance, in Russia in 1918, just before the Bolsheviks took over, who are Khazarian mafia, who are reptilian controlled and financed. Okay. Communism is reptilian controlled and financed. No getting away from that. It's how it is. There was a truther movement, and they were told to, and this is exact wording, to trust the plan.
Yeah, the same old playbook over and over and over. It's always the same playbook. I
Yeah.
mean, I think about in World War II when they went and they gathered up anyone who was of Orient descent and put them into concentration camps. And then they tried to replay the concentration camp, but this time it went a bit differently. That wasn't allowed to happen because of who we are today and through this ascension. So if they would have had their way, it would have been just another concentration camp of everyone and anyone who stood up and spoke out against the, what do they always call that? The draconian rule. And I'm always saying, and I hear my brother say this too. Oh, it's a draconian rule. And I'm like, do you realize you're saying draconian? Because it's connected to the reptilians and they are the draconians. And he's like, oh, no, 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 no. It's a saying. I'm like, it's a saying for me, a reason.
Yeah.
You've remembered some of the speech of it, draconian, but you have no association to what that actually means.
No, no. But when we understand the history of America and the civil wars and the War of Independence and all that stuff going on, and you understand that that's got British fingers all over it.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Oh
but
yeah.
when you understand that Britain was actually once called England, and Britain is only called Britain because the draconian
Mm.
um, reptilians via the Khazarian mafia took over and took England over fundamentally in the 1600s via Oliver Cromwell, okay,
Mhm.
and then introduced the banking system of the Bank of England in the very I think it was 1693 something like that, which was set up by the same people that have funded Cromwell to kill the king, shut Parliament down, and then restart Parliament as a
Mhm.
new system. Okay, so when
Mhm.
people say, "Oh, the Parliament in England or the United Kingdom or Britain has been going for thousands of years or hundreds of years," no, no, it hasn't. It was actually disbanded and completely reset up, and the people that the reptiles wanted were placed into the power to then be able to push through everything that they wanted, you know.
Yep.
And actually, the Sesta V Act, which relates to the money and the straw man account and our birth certificate, well, that was passed in French.
Hmm.
And in England, we don't speak French.
There you go.
And none of the common people and the common tongue was not French. So in Parliament, they were passing laws and bills in French that none of the common people had any idea about.
Hmm. Hmm. I do know that all nobility, or however you say it, nobles,
Not, yeah,
they were all infiltrated. All were infiltrated. At one time, these nobles were exactly that, noble people. And then hundreds and hundreds of years ago, maybe longer, depending on which reset you're looking into, these reptilians literally came in. They can shapeshift. They are shapeshifters. They're chameleons. They're like a cuttlefish. They can even change the texture of their skin. Okay. We do have technology with this also, but it's connected. They have tech inside of them. They are a partial AI reptile. There was a merge of reptiles and AIs a long time ago. I mean, we don't know anything about that, but they are connected to AI. And their malleability of their skin, of the technology that they have, the frequencies that they can manipulate with their internal technology, can literally be like a cuttlefish, where a cuttlefish can make itself look like a piece of coral, and then it'll move and it's a cuttlefish again. Same thing with the reptilians. And one of the reasons that we're going to be seeing the reptilians stop the shape shifting is because it's done on a frequency, and we're starting to rise above that frequency. And the frequency is only held down here. And once we flip up one more frequency, we can see through all the bullshit and it doesn't affect us anymore.
yeah,
And
yeah,
they know that we're having this ascension, and they know that our bodies have changed on the inside and we're still changing. And they know that we're right there and the flip is coming when that mitochondria ends up staying on instead of on, and then off, on, off, on, off. It's where we can move our muscles because of the mitochondria. When that frequency flip happens, and it's coming, they can't hide anymore. Their technology will be low. It's like, I'll give you a great example. I'm going to watch a film and it's in 200 frames. We can only see 40 frames, but it's in 200 frames. All of a sudden, we see 300 frames. We're seeing more frames than there is even available. That's the frequency change.
yeah, yeah. It's a bit like the film They Live when they put the sunglasses on and they can
Yeah,
see that.
yeah,
Fundamentally, we're about to get the sunglasses shoved on our faces, whether you like it or not. That's
there
coming.
it is. There it is. It is coming. And then all of a sudden, you're not only going to be seeing the reptilians for what they truly are, you're going to be seeing all the stuff that's around you.
Yeah,
And there's more stuff around you than enough. I've always said you never have to worry about being alone. Even if you're sitting in your house all by yourself, you are not alone. You are not alone. You are never alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one is.
You're always connected to your higher self, and you often have spirit guides around you, and
Mm-hmm.
members of your clan. I'm not going to say
Mm-hmm.
family, I'm going to say clan
Mm-hmm.
in spirit form, overlooking and supporting you as well. As Quantum Businessman used to say on his shows, this is the biggest game in the universe, and everyone's cheering for us at the moment because, like a film, when you know who the baddie is, you want the good guy to come out and beat the baddie. And we're at that stage in the film of the good guys just about to beat the baddie.
Mm-hmm.
You
Because
know,
we've been punched down enough. We've been beaten to the ground enough. It's time to rise and take back our power. And we don't need a third thing involved, like church is third thing, politics is third thing, bank money is third thing. We need to forego all of that and realize we are more than we ever needed to begin with. We are all we ever needed.
yeah, yeah. And you think that, you know, Sonia and I are talking about the old technology, going back with the star forts and the obelisks and the churches with the energy. There's a reason why houses were built with no toilets.
Yeah.
It's because we were breatharians. The energy around us sustained us, and we might have eaten the odd bit and piece, and we might have had a mushroom here or some berries or something like that, and we might have had one stool movement per month or a week or whatever it was. We certainly would not have been destroying and consuming the way we did, but we had to when that technology was destroyed by the draconians, by the
Yep.
reptilians because when you have to consume, there can be a monetary system placed in. Okay. So if you can imagine, Three Eye Atlas turns up tomorrow, and the first thing they do is they come out with a little box that looks like a microwave and they give it to every single person. And that's called a replicator.
Mm-hmm.
And the replicator doesn't need power, it's just a box. And in that box, you type in what you want. You open the door, and inside the box is exactly what you typed. Oh, I want a bar of gold. Great, you got a bar of gold. What does that mean that gold's worth? Nothing.
Nothing.
I want a roast dinner. Poof, roast dinner comes out. Oh, lovely. You can eat your roast dinner. I want a bowl of soup. Comes out.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, jobs are not needed. Money's not needed. And you can spiritually grow and develop, and you can do the things you love. You can start painting. You can start writing poetry. You can
Mm-hmm.
start going out in nature. You can start supporting the realm. And suddenly there's no need to kill an animal. And the animals know the frequency change, and the animals are then coming into you. And I mean, like a lot of people are saying at the moment that animals are getting much closer to them than they have had before because the frequency's rising and the animals can feel the change as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now
And
just
not
get
only that, you won't have to be chopping down nature because you need the wood, right?
no.
Do you know a long time ago, nobody chopped a tree down? That was sacrilege. This is why everything was built with the concrete. Everything, marbles, concrete, you name it, everything that was in our reality got used. First, it was to last forever, but the next thing was natural law was running in this place. Do not take another's life. And that's on every realm. Do not, another's life is consists of everything around you, vegetation, animals, you name it. That's another. We always think of these laws for just human, and then we put it into our own context. But reality is, natural law is you do not take another's life, period. And another is everything else,
Yeah.
not just human. A lot of the reptilians, one of the reasons they catch us, eat us, devour us, put it into our own food through the fast food systems is because well, you do it to your animals and you are to us nothing but an animal. We're only doing like begets like.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
simple as that.
It's the food chain that's been created. Now, Sonja brought up a really interesting point that I want to go back to and give you an example of that makes sense. Sonja spoke about some of these reptoids and reptilians have technology in them. Okay,
Mhm.
and that sounds far-fetched. Okay, now how far-fetched is it when we go back to the hieroglyphs in Egypt and we have chimeras there which have dog heads
Mhm.
and all the other bits and pieces, bird heads, everything. And these chimera or these beings, these automated AI bots, half reptilian, bit of human, whatever they are, these things were then gods. And these things would then play with DNA and create their own family via DNA. And this is actually written about. This it's not fallacy. You can actually read this stuff and research it if you want. That that Horus created this and from Horus was created that and you've got the jackal-headed gods and all the bits and pieces and
Mhm.
well that's technology. That's the technology Sonya's talking about. At that time, in that period of time, it was obviously okay to walk round with the exoskeleton of the technology shown to everybody because
Mhm.
they were showing themselves as gods and they were controlling the people as gods.
Mhm.
False gods, obviously, but as
Mhm.
gods. Now, today, we wouldn't accept that because
Mhm.
obviously that period of history happened and there was an uprising of some sort or some kind of reset and that finished. So they then developed something else for the next part of the play of the story. And that's where we are.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I always call those chimeras or cryptids. So you have Anubis, the wolfman, and the dogman. That's all the same thing. Anubis, wolfman, and dogman. And don't forget, we started off as a high technical society. We didn't start off as cavemen. We became cavemen, but we started off high. So we had all of this genetic manipulation available. It's not a big deal. That was just commonplace, common, whatever. When I look into the chimeras, and this is one of the reasons we had our first reset, and they started chimeraing things that were here that had no business being together. This is where you get, and I just did a video on the merfolk, the mermaids, the mermen, the what have you, and the sightings have been becoming off the scale anymore. One of the main reasons the sightings are getting so rampaging now is because everybody's got a cell phone. And with the cell phone comes abilities to make videos on the spot. It's not like it used to be. So AI is working in the negative and in the positive. Here we go again, yin and yang. And a lot of things are being filmed with these mer people. And these people are being spotted in every river, lake, and ocean around the entire snow globe. You have the ones that live in lakes, the ones that live in rivers, and the ones that live in the oceans. Every part of the world, people have one thing in common: cell phones. And this used to be a part of our mythology. I do know there's two kinds of mermaids. There's the original mermaid, which was more looking like a fish with a humanoid kind of body, but still fish. They are cold blooded. And then there's the chimeras. So the chimeras look like half human, half dolphin, half human, half fish, half human, half something from aquatica. And the reason that the chimeras were made of these indigenous real mermaids that look nothing human was because infiltration. I need to make something I can control that can go into that realm, that water, that whatever, so I can infiltrate. Because at one time there was diversity in here like there was no tomorrow. And most of the chimeras were developed for power because at one point we were not, well, I should say, some of us were not loosely or were loosely connected to the avatar. And when we came down into being more human, we could still leave our avatar. And if I make a chimera of a wolfman, Anubis, dogman, they come with great attributes. I can go into that avatar that doesn't hold a soul, and I can run that avatar, be in that car, because it is a car, it is a vehicle, and I'll have mad powers. They are telepathic. Their smell is off the chart. They can smell like a shark in the ocean for miles. They can smell you if you're downwind. If you're upwind, not so much. They are extremely fast. They've been clocked at 65 to 75 miles per hour, running along tractor trailers. They are immensely strong. Now, this is just one chimera. Can you imagine looking in your history books at all of the mythology and wondering what skill set comes with all of those chimeras, and that you can wear the chimera as your next suit?
Yeah. 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 Putting consciousnesses in and out of bodies. And it's been going on for a very, very long time. We
Well,
we we have been brainwashed totally into assuming that we are the most technologically advanced we've ever been, and actually
mhm,
we're actually really not, really
no,
not. And we think we've got the best psychic abilities we've ever had, and we really don't.
no.
And it's just a fallacy, and it's like building something up, isn't it? It's like you
Yeah.
build something up because you know that you can then take the brick away and make it fall, you know,
Mhm,
and it's that
mhm,
part of the control mechanism again. It really is fascinating the things they've done, and in the future we will see it all and we'll know it all, and we will know the true history. We'll know exactly what's happened, but also we will be moving out of that frequency realm elsewhere,
yeah.
and we will not have to deal with that kind of thing ever again in our certainly our lifetime, because of the split. Now, does that mean that they're all going to die? No, it doesn't. But it does mean that they're going to be trapped and locked down into a very, very dense, low frequency realm that they will be stuck in for a very, very long time until that decays. And they then will come back out again because it's an inevitability. But
Mhm,
at the point in which they come back out again, does that mean this whole thing will go on again? I don't know. But we're talking eons of time, thousands of years, and so it's not a problem. But we are going to be leaving this dense, horrible frequency behind,
mhm,
the
mhm,
interference of certain cryptids, reptiles on continents, on peoples, the destruction and the death that has been caused, the mayhem is gonna stop. And we really truly are going into a golden era. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be a gold backed currency or anything like that. It just means it's going to be what this realm should have been in the first place, how beautiful it should have been. And as the frequency rises, we're going to see, fairies and Bigfoot and or Sasquatch and all these beings, pixies, elves, the full lot coming back in to our vision, and we're going to be interacting with them again. And I get flesh on the goose of that one. I get,
Yeah, I would tell you, I have been doing a mythical series on
I
my
know it's
page.
brilliant. Oh
Um,
my, if you're on Patreon with Sonja, she's doing this mythical series, and oh my God, you part 6 now, aren't you, or something? Part 6 or
oh my
7?
gosh, it's up there. It's 6 or 7 or something.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing the Gorgons and the Naga next. But I did do a thing on Sasquatch, and I will be talking to Mike Patterson. Um, I think it'll be Friday, and he has direct contact with Sasquatch. Neff, he's got his own channel, and I cannot wait to talk to him about Neff and his group and about the Sasquatch and their abilities. And then I saw something. I'm going to say it here because I just can't hold it. I was talking to someone the other day because I do meetings, and they were asking me about, well, we have the technology to open portals. And I said, well, yes and no. But and I started looking at the Sasquatch. And I'm like, the Sasquatch open portals. What they do is inside of their mind, they start here. You have to do two things before you start the portal. You have to know where you are, and you have to know where you're going. And I mean, you have to know, you have to have been there. Okay. So inside of their mind, they form idea of where they're going to go. And in that next minute, they pull it out of their mind inside of their biofield. The portal opens inside of your biofield because it's connected to your mind, because you really are the biofield. And what it does, it's like a coin. You know how a coin is real thin? One side is you and the other side is the outcome. And it takes time and space and it bends it to the single point of the coin, and the coin being round, because the portals are always round. And then they just step through, and it closes naturally behind them, like boom. And you have gone literally nowhere. And you could be in Florida and now you're in Alaska. You could be in Arizona and now you're in the UK someplace. And that it all starts inside of the mind, and that it works through your own biofield. It's not like you're opening something up over there. It's opening up inside of you. And I saw that. I'm like, oh, I know how to do portals. I haven't gotten to the point to do portals, but now I see the concept of how portals actually work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I certainly see a time. Well, let's put it this way. With the three eye atlas, one of the things, or one of the knowings I've got, and one of the things that we're talking about with friends, is these craft. The mainstream saying three eye atlas is traveling at X amount of speed, and it'll be X amount of time before it ever get near us, and all this kind of stuff, right? They have no conceptual nature of the true reality of what these craft can do and what they are. And as
Wow.
Sonja quite rightly said to me pre-show, is although they're a craft, they're also partly organic.
Mhm.
And there was actually, and this reminds me again of another TV show called Farscape. And Farscape, the craft, was a living being.
Mm.
Really interesting just to watch that. Anyway, the craft can travel as fast or as slow as it wants to, because the craft can travel at the speed of thought. Now, what that means is exactly what just Sonia said, as in the portal system. Okay, so those in the craft can ask the craft, we want to go to England, London now. They think of England, London, and the craft is there
Mhm.
that quickly. Or they can say, we want to go to London, England, but because we want to make a show of it and be seen, we're going to do it over a period of Earth time, 2 months. And the
Mhm.
craft will do that.
Mhm.
And so in the future, it's very, very likely, with what Sonny's just said and the crazy conversation we had earlier about this sort of thing, that
Mhm.
we will be able to travel from America to England at the speed of thought, to then be able to spend time with our friends, to then in the evening at the speed of thought go back home to where we live and have a lovely sleep. you know
Well,
so there'll be no more aircraft, no more airlines, no more anything of that. We will literally be able to go to where we think we want to be.
mhm. 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 Absolutely
you know that's that
awesome.
that's a concept and a half, isn't it? And I'm aware of the time, because we've been probably chatting for just over an hour, so I don't know about you, but that tends to be enough for people to watch for us. And
Yeah, I mean, we could talk, Gary. You and I could probably talk for a week straight and never talk about the same subject.
Yeah, we could for sure,
So
for
we do
sure.
have to come to an end point so these poor people can go on too, because it's consuming their life also. Yes, it's a lot of information. Yes, it's things to think about, but we do realize we don't want you spending forever in cyber world either.
Yeah. So I would say that's a really good natural ending. And again, Sonia and I will be getting together again in the near future, and I'm sure we'll be coming up with some more out there, um, but very viable and interesting information for you all. So, with that, Sonia, have you got any last words?
Everybody have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you may be. And definitely, again, I have a Patreon and I will be doing bookings. So feel free to book with me if you want anything answered.
Yeah, highly recommend it. Sonia is the font of all knowledge, really is. With remote viewing, you know, she's unique, and the ability and the opportunity for you to be able to speak to somebody of Sonia's ability on a one-on-one is really a once in a lifetime opportunity. Obviously, you can book her multiple times, so that's fine now. But but that really is an opportunity that is not to be wasted. So, with that, love, light, and blessings, everybody. Thank you for watching us. We'll catch up with you
Goodbye.
soon. Bye, everyone.